And it's because we have this part of the brain called resistance that's designed to hold us back, and it's actively working to hold us back. And the challenge with that is because when we want something, the brain can release some really powerful feelings and sensations like, yeah, I can do it. It's going to happen.
Welcome back to NMP Talk Show. I'm your host, Neo Morapedi. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt like you know what to do and you want to do it and you also have this motivation to do that thing that you want to do? But when it comes to doing it, somehow you just don't do it. What is happening there? I know I'm not the only one that feels like that. A lot more people are feeling the same. So today we're going to unpack the reason why we're feeling that way. That is internal resistance. And for this, I have a special guest on my show. His name is Kam Knight. Kam is going to unpack this. He's going to let us know what the problem is and how we can overcome it. So we're looking forward to all these, practical lessons that we can get from him. So a little bit about Kam. He's a coach, an international speaker, best-selling author of a dozen books in an area of mental and emotional, and also physical performance. So he's like an all-rounder man, you can run to. And he's known for bringing fresh solutions, insight onto rare departure from traditional ideas. And because of his fresh perspective, his books have become the gold standard for respective topics, which has helped people, over 500,000 of them. So when he's coaching or writing, he's also traveling. We just had a conversation, before the show. He just traveled to South Africa and he found it very, very interesting. But that could be, a topic for another show. But without further ado, welcome to NMP Talk Show, Kam.
Thank you very much. That was an awesome introduction. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. It's a pleasure to have you here so that you can let us know, the ins and outs of the doubts that we might have.
Yeah.
But just before we jump into our discussion, I know I've read, what you do and all of that. It's always nice to hear it from the person himself. So anything that you would like to share, just to get us, going.
Sure. So I'll kind of reiterate a little bit. My name is Kam Knight, and I'm a coach, international speaker, and author of a dozen books, many of which you see behind me in the area of mental, physical, and emotional performance, which you guys can grab at my website, kamknight.com. And now I talk about a concept called internal resistance, which answers a question I had my whole life, and that is, why is it if I want to do something, I know what to do, I know how to do it, and I have the motivation and desire to do it, but for one reason or another, I can't or don't do it. Now, at the time, there were no good answers that I came across. A lot of the answers I came across related to beliefs. That is, if you don't have good beliefs about yourself or you have limiting beliefs, that would hold you back. And I do think that is a part of it. But in my journey, I always felt like there was more to it. And that question lingered in my mind pretty much my whole adult life. Every time I felt stuck, I wondered why. Why can't I get stuff done? Why do I keep spinning my wheels? Why don't I just do this thing so I can get the result that I want? And the more books I read, coaching I did, and seminars I attended, the more I learned about the complexities of the human mind. And over time, I began to realize that there's a part of our brain designed to hold us back. It's hard to imagine, but there's a part of our mind, our own mind, can hold us back and make us and keep us from making progress. And I call it resistance, and it's this brick wall that we hit anytime that we want to do something, but we can't, no matter how much we want to do it.
That brick wall, like you're saying, everyone has it. You could be so motivated to do things, but once it hits you, there's no way to go. And what I've also realized, all the my guests that I've hosted on the show, they have, were able to overcome certain obstacles, and this is because of the experience that they've gone through. And I see that you've gone through that, and so you're the best person really to talk about, because you know how it starts, how you can fight it,
Yeah.
and how you can do all of that. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, we
So,
appreciate it. Mm,
yeah. So a couple of things you said. A lot of people have motivation,
yeah,
and it's really important to understand it's not just about motivation, because we can have the motivation to do something, but if resistance doesn't allow us to do it,
hmm,
then we're not going to be able to do it. And unfortunately, what a lot of people do is they go out and seek more motivation, more inspirational, either quotes or books or podcasts or even movies, when it's not all about the motivation. Motivation is a starting point, but then we do have to hit up or work through the resistance itself. The
okay,
second piece of what you said that's important to comment on as well is
mm,
that a lot of people have resistance, and we all have resistance. It may seem like when we look at someone who's doing really well that they don't have resistance. Maybe in that task, activity, or goal, they don't have resistance, but in
yeah,
other areas, they might. They might have resistance in relationships, maybe talking to women, or in certain other areas. So we all have it, and it's a matter of working through it. And that's what we're going to talk about here today.
awesome. I'm looking forward to it. But
Yeah.
now there's a misunderstanding there about wanting something. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So it really helps to understand how this mechanism or process of resistance works. So the
Mm,
part of the brain that creates wants works separately and independent of the part that actually allows us to act on that want. This
mm,
is really essential to get. So I'll say it one more time. The part of the brain that creates wants and desires works independent of the part that actually allows us to act and go ahead and pursue that desire. So we have one part of the brain that is creating wants, and in many ways, this part of the brain is unrestrained. So it's creating wants and desires one after another in a way faster than any one person can achieve.
mm,
And it really wasn't meant to evaluate our wants to decide if it's safe or worth doing. Its only goal is to create wants. And then we have this other part of the brain that is actually designed to check and see if our want is worth pursuing or going after. And if this part of the brain, which I call resistance, doesn't give the red light or the green light, then we can't act. So, what is really helpful to understand with what I just said is that
mm,
it is possible for both the brain to create our want for something
mhm,
and at the same time hold us back from it. So oftentimes, when we want something and we're not able to go after it, we tend to feel down and bad about ourselves,
mhm.
like we don't have discipline or we don't have what it takes. When the reality is, it is possible for us to have a desire and our own self keep us from going after it.
That's very interesting, because if this part of the brain is creating all these ones, one after another. Now the question is, are these ones, or all of these ones that are being created, are they aligned with who we are or who we truly need? Maybe that's why now the other part is resisting.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's one reason why resistance comes up,
Mm,
because the want that we're trying to go after may not
yeah.
be aligned with this. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. And that's a very good question. The part of the brain that creates wants, like I said, it's unrestrained. So when it's creating wants and desires, it's not checking to see if a want is aligned with us. It's not checking to see if the want is safe. It's not checking to see even if the want will be fulfilling. All
Mm,
it's doing is creating wants. And you can think of the wanting mechanism, which is what I call this part of the brain, as really an on off switch that gets flipped based on
Mm.
certain cues. It sees someone with nice shoes and it wants it. Someone with a really nice car drives by and we want that too. Somebody attractive walks by and we want that as well. So the wanting mechanism is really just a switch that's kind of creating wants. And the more we expose ourselves to different things, like nowadays, people are watching a lot more media and it's on our phones. We're scrolling through a lot
Yeah.
more things that can stimulate our wanting mechanism. So that wanting mechanism is constantly being stimulated to do this, go there, have that, and experience those other things. And so not all of it is fulfilling. Not only that, but we don't even have the time for all of it. In fact,
Mm.
what I like to say is that even if you lived multiple lives, you couldn't achieve, let alone enjoy, all the wants your brain is producing in a single
Mm.
month or even in a single week. So I hope that gives a better understanding around the wanting mechanism.
It does. It does. But in any case, it will also create frustration, having to want to do something and really, really badly want to doing something. So how can we fight this frustration?
Yeah. So
Mm.
wants in a lot of ways do create frustration because
Mm.
when we have a want for something, it means that we don't have it. And because we don't have it, there's a pain that is created because we don't have it. So there's this
Mm.
frustration that we want this thing and we want to go after it. So a lot of our challenges actually can come from our wants in of itself. As we had talked, one of the challenges if the brain creates a want that's not aligned. And if resistance goes, well, this isn't aligned, it's going to put the brakes on that decision. And the other thing is that if a want is very strong, it can create a lot of pain because we don't have it.
Mm.
And that
Mm.
pain can create frustration. And sometimes that pain can make it actually hard to work on that want. You know what I'm saying? Like if we have a
Mm.
really big goal or we really desire this one thing that we saw on Amazon or on social media, and it
Man.
creates a lot of pain, just the pain of it can keep us from actually taking the necessary steps for us to go after the goal or get that thing. So, how do we handle or manage it? Well, one of the things I try to help people understand is to not stimulate your wanting mechanism so much. Because remember, it's an on off switch. It
Mm.
looks at different cues and stimuli in the environment. So, if there is something it sees, it's going to want it. Think of it, your wanting mechanism, like a kid who just sees things and wants it, like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah,
Well, a kid in a candy store who is not allowed to have any candy is going to be very frustrated, right?
for sure.
Sure.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
if you don't take him to the candy store, he's not going to see all that candy and it's
So it's
not
not
going to trigger.
stimulated. Mm.
Yeah, it's not going to be frustrating. So the first
Mm.
step is to keep ourselves from all the wants that are there. And unfortunately, that means limiting how much television we watch, social media we scroll
Yeah.
through, how
Yeah.
much video games we're playing, and even the types of people that we hang around. Because the people that we hang around are, involved in short-term gratification and fixes, and we're around them, our brain is gonna be seeing that as well, and so it's gonna
Mm.
be challenging. Now, I'm not saying this part of the solution is easy because we live in a world where we just have to be around others, but the more that we can contain the external stimuli, the less frustration we can create for ourselves. Now, like I said, this isn't always easy to do, but the
Yeah.
other thing to realize is that, as I mentioned, our brain creates so many wants in a single day, we don't
Mm.
have time to achieve in a lifetime. If we can understand that, we can understand that, hey, we can't have all the wants that our brain is producing. It's not possible. In fact, David Allen best-selling author of the book Getting Things Done, said, "You can have anything you want, but not everything." So if we can realize we can't have everything, then it should help us from getting too frustrated. But I think the most important thing is to really pick and choose a few wants that you want to pursue and stick to those wants. And no matter what other wants your brain is producing, don't think about, worry about, or go after them until the first want is finished and completed. So these are a couple of ways we can think about keeping our wanting mechanism from frustrating us. First is to not trigger the stimuli. The second, to realize we can't have everything. And the third is to really focus on a few things and cut out the rest because it's not possible to have everything.
I wanted to add on that, the third one, in focusing on less things.
Yeah.
When I was preparing for this show, I came across the article online, and it was telling me that if we start small, because the more you want things, the more frustrated you become, and because you can't achieve everything, then you're more frustrated. You look at yourself as a loser. It's like you can't do anything in this world. So what he was saying that is start small. Have short goals, because when you reach those goals, they are milestone for you, and at least they help you move on and not be frustrated. So it's quite an intriguing topic that we're discussing here.
Yeah.
But now we.
I just want to add to that. That's a very good point. I want to say that we're living in a time where there's so many options and our options have options. Back 30, 40, 50 years ago, the problem that we had was not enough options. We were kind of forced to work a certain job or buy a certain product, and that was really it. And now we can, when we're looking for a product, find all sorts of features and options in that product. And even in our career, we have so many options in the direction we can go. And so the challenge for us now is to cut out as many things because we can't chase everything. And everything is wanting and pulling for our attention. So the real key is focusing on a few things and really sticking with them and doing the best to not let them pull you in different directions, because it's really easy to get lost in all the things that are available to us these days. And if we can ground ourselves, we can really make much more progress. In fact, that word grounding is really important because we talk about grounding a lot, like you have to be grounded. Now we know what that word means. It means containing our wanting mechanism so it doesn't pull us in all sorts of directions, finding a way to do that.
That's correct. I like that how you put it. So now we are clear on the ones topic side of the topic. Let's talk about something really interesting here, which is the elephant in the room, which is resistance.
Yeah.
So do we have, or do you know of anything that is not commonly talked about, and which is the cause of resistance for most of the people?
Yeah. So now we talked about the part of the brain that creates wants, and we also learned how it can actually create challenges in being able to do things. And it's hard to imagine, but our own wants can be a hindrance in going after them. And that's just one part of the resistance equations. The other part is when we do pick that one want, or we pick a few wants, doesn't mean we'll still be able to go after or achieve it. And that's because we have this part of the brain that can get in the way of us of being able to do that. So, how does this part work? Well, anytime a decision or option or a desire shows up, this part of the brain evaluates that decision, desire, and option to see if it's safe or worth doing. And if this part doesn't give the green light, then we cannot act. So again, it doesn't matter how much motivation we have or how much desire there is. If this part doesn't allow us to take action, we can't take action. And it really helps to understand that the way this part works is, and
Oh, we lost your audio.
sorry, I accidentally
Yeah.
turned it off. So the way
Yeah.
this part works is anytime a desire comes up, this part evaluates that desire using a whole host of criteria. And if the decision is not in line with any of the criteria, resistance will prevent action. And so the natural question is, what are the criteria? Before I answer that, it helps to understand or think about standing before a panel of judges or board of directors. Every decision that comes up must go through them. If even one of the members is against the idea, it won't pass. And so the criteria include things like beliefs. You know, in personal development, beliefs is a really big topic because if you have limiting beliefs, the brain will obviously keep you from going after and doing that thing. But it's more than that. It goes into habits, it goes into comfort zones, it goes into things like self image, it goes into things like demographics and stuff. But a really interesting cause of resistance that a lot of people aren't aware of, but it's affecting many of us, has to do with the fact that many people or many people's brains are still worried about the peers from their past. They're still worried about the kids that they grew up with and what
Yeah.
those kids are still thinking of them.
Man,
So,
they shaped our lives.
huh?
Those kids shaped our lives, really.
They really do. And what's really interesting is even
Yeah.
when we grow up and we don't talk or see them, and even though we may live in a completely different city, state, or even country, a part of our brain still worries what they're thinking of us. And anytime we set out to do something, it wonders how that bully that made fun of us, kids that laughed at us, or the girl that rejected us will think if they find out. And it's affecting our decisions as if they did find out. And I say that it happens much more than you could imagine. And the reason is because I know for a fact everyone listening here has memories from people from their past, especially childhood, flash in their mind from time to time. And those memories don't show up for nostalgic reasons, they show up to reinforce the walls in our lives. So, what might be happening is that a person has a want or desire, and a memory of such person flashes, and they go, nope, I don't want to do that. And they don't even realize it because the desire is underneath. And like I said, this is much more common than you would think because the more people I've helped through resistance and access the cause of the resistance, the more this comes up. Like I said, anytime they set out to do something, a part of their brain wonders what their childhood friends might think. And it actually affects their decisions right here and now. And it's kind of wild to even think about it. But I know, like I said, I am very confident that many people have the experience that I just described.
Man, you spot on. You are spot on. But now, how do you now recondition the process, of
Yeah.
resistance? Because if we don't do something about it, we might not, we might even give up on ourselves.
Yeah. So I think what really helps to understand is how resistance shows up. So the first part of the equation is want. The second part of the equation is resistance. But then the third part of the equation is tricks of resistance. And by tricks, I mean resistance is very sneaky and sly. When it stops you from doing something, it doesn't tell you that it's stopping you, and it doesn't give you a reason why it's stopping you. So instead, it uses sneaky tricks. And resistance has all sorts of tricks up its sleeves to keep us from doing things. And since you're in South Africa, I actually learned about the tricks of resistance when I was in South Africa. And I'll
Awesome.
share my story about one of the tricks that I learned and how it kind of expanded to me learning others. So when I was in South Africa, I heard a woman speak about her journey of addiction. And she described a pattern that addicts fall into that she herself fell into. And she said addicts know what they're doing is wrong. Many of them know that they should stop, but a sneaky trick keeps them from stopping and perpetually stuck in their addiction. And that trick is they tell themselves, after the next hit, I'll stop. After the next one, I'll stop. I just need to do it one more time, but after, I'll stop. Now, here's the thing, they keep saying this. After the next hit, I'll stop. I just need one more, but after, I'll stop. And when they say it, they're convinced after the next one, they'll stop. Absolutely convinced. In their mind, they truly believe after the next one, they'll stop. And I'm going to ask you and your audience, does this pattern sound familiar? Because
Very
I
familiar.
know for a fact every single one of you is doing this in some area of your life. A
Yeah.
desire comes up, and in that moment, a voice surfaces that says, I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it this weekend. I'll do it next week. I'll do it next time. And every time the later or next comes up, they push it off for the later and the later. And some people have been doing this their entire life. Like they've had desires since they were in high school or a young adult, but every time it's time to do something, they go, I'll do it later. And so this is one of the tricks, but there's a lot more tricks. There are dozens and dozens of tricks our brain uses to keep us from doing things. And what I tell people is that you wouldn't think of them as tricks, which is why they work so well and why we so easily fall for them. And so the key to understanding if we're in resistance is to understand if we're caught in one of the tricks. And some of the more obvious tricks include things like scrolling through social media, playing video games, watching television, drinking, smoking, and all of that stuff. And when we're doing those things, it's pretty obvious we should be doing something else. But with the tricks of resistance, it's not so obvious because it covers its own tracks.
I was about to follow up on that because sometimes you're not even aware that this is resistance, you know. But before we get into there, we do have a call on online.
Sure.
Hilda, you can unmute yourself and welcome to NMP Talk Show.
You know, would I be correct to say the gamblers? Every time they would say, I'm going to go for the last time, but they keep on going every time and they lose a lot of money. Will that be
Yes.
one of the examples? And
That is,
secondly, the desire to buy online. That is my problem. Whenever I see something online, I just want to buy.
yeah. So
Thank you,
you
Hilda.
hit both you hit the nail on the head with both of them. So for gamblers, their trick of resistance is instead of saying one more time, they'll say one last time. You know, after this time, I'll stop.
Yeah.
And so people who have a hard time doing something, they will say after the next time or later or next, I'll do it. People who have a hard time stopping something or addicts, they'll say one more game, one more post, one more show. And then for gamblers, you know, just this one last time, but after I'll stop. And they keep doing it. So that's a very good observation about how this shows up as tricks for gamblers. And yes, for you online, because you're online and you see all these things and it stimulates your wanting mechanism. It's like, oh, I gotta have it. And I can almost even imagine what happens. You see the product and your brain goes, this will save me so much time. My life will be so
Exactly.
great. People will be so envious of me if I have this. And it starts
Mm,
making life so amazing that you have to have it. And then as soon as you get it, guess what? Your brain is off to the other wants and the wants after that.
yeah.
And the way to overcome this, I mean, it's not as easy as I'm going to describe it, but it's one thing you can do is one, don't go online. Don't go shopping online and don't look at ads online. And that's not
Especially at
always easy,
night.
especially at night. And two, when you do get that really overpowering desire to get
Mm,
something, what really helps is to think about all the times you chased that overpowering desire in the past and see if it was as fulfilling as your brain is making it seem right now.
mm,
And just by having that shift of just thinking in the past, did getting that thing really change my life the way it's making it seem like? And more often than not, that can be enough to tone down the desire. And if it's not, then you can use logic and be like, I can get this thing, and it'll be just like the other stuff I bought. And as soon as I get this thing, I'm just going to want more things. So that should help you as well. Does that help?
I think it helps.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hilda, I hope that helps you. You can unmute yourself.
I'm answered. Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for contributing to the show so
Yeah.
faithfully. Now, I have a follow. I have a follow up question for you, Cam.
Sure.
Every single day, we do have some sort of resistance that we get, and this show that we're having is making us aware that there is some resistance that constantly goes on in our brains. How do we now recognize that this is a resistance? And if it's a resistance, what could be the cause of it? And we start analyzing our lives, our wants, and prioritize. And I think that will also help with some addictions that we probably have, in
Yeah.
life, how to control it.
Yeah. So, one of the best ways to identify if we're in resistance
Mm,
is to notice the tricks. So, I
mm,
mentioned one of the tricks, which is pushing things off till later. If you
mhm,
keep pushing things off till later, there's a good chance that we're in resistance. Otherwise, we would have done it now,
oh,
right? But then there's other forms of tricks like over planning. So, a lot of people, when their brain is having them avoid something, they go into this heightened sense of planning and they want to make sure everything is perfect and they have all their I's dotted and T's crossed. And so the more time they're spending on planning, the less time they're actually going out and doing the thing. And it's a perfect way that resistance keeps them from moving forward. The same with perfectionism and things of that nature. So if a person is spending a lot more time on something that's not getting results, then they're likely in resistance. In
mm,
fact, I like to say, or I'm at a point now where I assume anything that's not moving a needle forward for me, I'm in resistance. So anything I'm doing that's not moving towards what I want to do or the result that I'm wanting to get, it's likely
mm,
a trick of resistance. So that's one of the best ways. Another great way is to use self talk. And before I describe how to use it, I'm going to talk about what self talk is. So, self talk are statements that you say or repeat to yourself of the changes that you want to have or have happen. For example, if you want to get up in the morning earlier, you could say, I wake up I wake up early every morning. Or if a person wants to eat better, you might repeat self-talk statements like I eat I'm a healthy eater. I eat only nourishing foods and put in my body. Now, it may not seem like a big thing, but as you start repeating the statements, your brain is going to react to the statement. It's going to say things like, no, you're not. You like to sleep in. And then it'll trigger memories of all the times you slept in. And then it'll kind of create feelings of like, well, if I wake up early, then what will people think of me? Right? Because maybe their friends all sleep late and and getting up early would feel awkward to that person.
Yeah. Or I'll be tired the whole day.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so how the brain reacts is a telltale sign of a resistance.
Yeah.
If your brain triggers the thought of no you don't, well that's your beliefs. If the brain triggers memories of your friends and what they'll think, well that's fear of rejection. And just by repeating the statement of the outcome you want, your brain will kind of give you a lot of insights into why it's not letting you do that thing. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yeah.
It does.
Actually, this is something I've been wanting to try live. So can we do it right now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Think about something that you want or that you want to do better or that you want to move forward. It could be financial, relationship, just any goal or activity that you're not doing that you'd rather do or that you're doing that you want to do more of or better of.
I've got plenty. I have a whole list of it.
All right, just pick one.
Yeah, I'll pick one. Do you want me to say it out?
Yeah,
Say
yeah,
it
yeah,
out
yeah.
loud.
Yeah.
Read more.
Read more. Okay.
Yeah, read more.
Okay.
I read, but yeah, I think I can do better.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So let's turn that into a self-talk statement. What is the outcome that you're seeking about reading more?
Getting more informed.
Yeah, but look, with the reading, do you want to read every day? Do you want to read?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just start with something simple. I am reading every day. So I want you to close your eyes and start repeating the statement, I read every day.
I read every day.
And keep saying it.
I read every day. I
Keep
read
saying.
every day.
Yeah.
I read every day.
And what's the reaction that's happening in your mind? What's your mind saying as you say that?
I think I'm getting convinced that I'm reading every day.
Okay. But did it react to it? Like, no, you don't. You don't read every day. Or does it give you reasons for why you couldn't read every day? Keep doing that. Like, close your eyes and keep saying, I read every day. And pay attention to the background voice and say it out loud what that is. Let's start it again.
Yeah.
I read every day.
I read
I'm
every
reading
day.
every day.
Oh, I'm reading every day. No, it says I'm lying.
It feels like you're lying, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Keep saying it. Keep saying it.
Yeah. I'm reading every day. I'm reading every day. I'm reading every day. I'm reading every day. Yeah, I think also my perspective changes. You know, I'm sensing that I'm having motivation.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So I think I get the point.
Yeah. Well, it didn't fully illustrate because initially you felt like you're lying, but if you keep saying it, you're gonna get more answers as to why your brain is preventing you from reading every day.
Okay.
And the key to move forward with resistance is continue to repeat the statements because, like you said, it does shift your thinking from I'm lying, and the more you do it, into motivation to start doing it. So when you repeat the self-talk, it actually changes what's going on in your unconscious so you can act out what the statements describe.
Awesome. Helda is back again. Helda, you can unmute yourself.
You know, my goal is to start investments but I've got the fear of losing money when I invest. So every time when I want to open, I want to go online and start opening some investments, the fear that I've never done it before, I just cannot do it. And I want to do it. But
Yeah,
the
so
risk
there's
of losing money,
yeah. So
how
you
can I
have
overcome that?
so you have a very clear understanding of what the reason is. Now, that might not be the only reason. There could be actually other reasons at play. One of the reasons could be that your brain doesn't feel you're deserving of money. One of the other reasons could be that your brain feels that if you had money, you become a target and somebody might take it from you and they might do whatever they can to get it from you. So
Yeah.
there's fear of that too. And so, yeah, so there's a lot going on for us to work through when it comes to that. And it's not something we could just do in a show. But a simple way that I like to give listeners when I'm doing a podcast is self-talk, is create statements around the outcome that you want and make it actionable. Like for Neil, you wanted to read more. So it's I'm reading every day. For you, you can create a self-talk statement like I am learning about investment and getting better at investing. I am cautiously putting money into profitable investment. And you would repeat that regularly. And the more you do, you'll find yourself just naturally investing. Another trick that you can use is close your eyes and visualize yourself doing the act. So think about what it is that you need to do to start investing. Well, you got to open a bank account, you got to put money in that bank account, you got to buy some stocks and all of that. So close your eyes and imagine yourself doing all of that. And it's hard to think that what I just gave you is actually going to help you do it. But try this exercise and you'll find yourself having an easier time doing it. Now, there's a lot of ways to overcome resistance. So I don't want people to think that, oh, this is just, two ways or they're simple. I usually start with simple first, and here's why. In order to be successful, you can't do something one time. You have to do it over and over, and you have to do it consistently. The harder something is, the harder it is to do over and over and to do it consistently. But the simpler the thing is, it's much easier to do it repeatedly. So if we can start with the simple
Like last
things,
night,
go ahead.
sorry, like last night, I registered on Easy Equities, and I was like, I want to learn this. I'm going to do it on my own. Then I was successfully registered, and then I opened. I see so many companies with the percentage, and I was like, no ways, I'm going to lose money here. And then I closed it.
Yeah. So the third reason for resistance for you was overwhelmed. So when we get overwhelmed, it's hard to do things. In fact, I would say overwhelm is a trick of resistance because oftentimes the thing we're overwhelmed about isn't really hard. It just feels overwhelming. So I feel like you ignored my suggestion and you just went to describing what happened. Really, if you want to move forward, follow the two suggestions. Create statements about the outcome that you want, and then close your eyes and see yourself doing it. Just do those two, and you'll find yourself investing. Yeah, no problem.
That's very helpful. So what I'm picking up on this conversation is that we can recognize resistance from at least three things that happens in our lives, in our daily lives: procrastination, overthinking, and could I also be right by saying loss of motivation?
So it goes back to the tricks of resistance. When
Yeah,
resistance stops us from doing something, it
yeah,
doesn't tell us it's stopping us, but it
yeah.
uses sneaky tricks.
Sneaky
And
tricks.
so,
Yeah,
yeah. And how we can tell we're in resistance is that there's a lot of tricks. for the person who was online talking, for her, she got overwhelmed. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's a sign of resistance. If you keep telling yourself, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next time, it's a sign of resistance. If you keep saying one last time, it's a sign of resistance. And procrastination is, of course, a sign of resistance too. Because if we keep telling ourselves we'll do it later, we're procrastinating. So, of course, it's a sign of resistance. And this was a very good insight, but loss of motivation is also a sign of resistance because a lot of people get caught in this pattern I'm going to describe. They want to do something, and then when it's time to do it, they lose the motivation. They're like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't need it, or I'm too good for it. Then, when it's not time to do the thing, or they don't have the time to do the thing, they get motivated again. But once the time shows up, they lose the motivation. And they go back and forth, getting inspired. And then when it's time to act, make the decision, move forward, they lose the motivation and they're like, nah. And again, they can go their whole life doing this pattern.
That's a vicious cycle.
Yeah. I have actually a great story for this. And I know a lot of your male listeners can resonate, where they see a girl that they're really attracted to and they want to talk to her, ask her out and whatnot. But when that opportunity shows up, like she's right there,
we should go back.
They go, nah, she's this and that, and I'm too good or whatever. But then when she's gone, they like want to talk to her again. But when the opportunity shows up again, they're just like, playing it like they don't want her or need her. And like the tricks our brain plays, it's kind of crazy. So, yeah.
It is. So, Kam, is resistance always a negative thing, or is it something that protects us?
Very good question that I can talk a lot about. In a lot of ways, the way I describe resistance, I make it sound like it's negative, especially when I say it doesn't keep us from doing things and the tricks of resistance and manipulation and all that. But ultimately, resistance is there to help us because one, we can't chase all the wants that our brain produces, right? Like if we were going after every want that our brain produces, we would just be spinning in circles and we'd get burnt out and we wouldn't achieve any of them. So that's really good that we have resistance to do that. And then resistance does help us pick safer options because the wanting mechanism doesn't check to see if a want is achievable or achievable for you. It doesn't check to see if something is safe. It just creates a want for something. And it's really important that we have resistance that evaluates that want to see if we should go after it or not. So in that respect, it is also protecting us. Though what really helps to understand is that resistance can go overboard, meaning it can protect us from too many things. And it can protect us from even the things that our life is that's going to be helpful and useful for us. So yes, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but just like anything, too much of something becomes its opposite. So if we have too much resistance, it becomes its opposite and it starts to become a hindrance.
Yeah. And maybe this follow-up question could also add on the gem that you just given us. That resistance, can it make us believe that we're being productive, or can it actually make us think that we are avoiding matters?
So this goes back to the people who fall into a overly high state of planning. So let's say somebody has a goal of losing weight, right? And then they go out and spend all their time learning about how to work out, learning all the right exercises, going out and finding the right gear and the right shoes and everything. But they never actually work out. Now, all that thing that they were doing can make them feel like they're being productive.
Mm.
And because they feel they're being productive, they feel like they're getting closer to the goal. But the fact that they never go to the gym or actually run or exercise means that all of that thing that we're doing was just a trick their brain was playing to make them feel productive, but not actually be productive. Right. So that's one. Another example, a lot of people in business experience. In business, one of the toughest things is like the sales. For a lot of people, it's really awkward to make phone calls, cold calls,
Yeah.
ask for the sale and stuff like that. So guess what they end up doing? They get caught in busy work. They get caught up in refining their website and writing the perfect email and all of that stuff. And so they get really busy. And then because they're working on the business, they feel like they're being productive. But because they're not doing the thing that's
The
actually going to
action.
generate
Yeah.
revenue,
Mm.
it can convince us we're being productive when we're really not. And so we've all fallen into it. I have as well. And I still do in different areas. In fact, as we grow, there's more resistance that we come up with. So everybody has resistance. Everybody has different resistance to different things. And then we all experience new resistance as we're moving and growing and making progress. So it's not something that necessarily goes away. But if we're not careful, it can make us feel like we're being focused and productive when we're really not.
Sure. That's powerful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now, I'm looking at the time now. You know, when you're having fun, time really flies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, just to recap, what can we take away from this discussion that we had? If you were to tell someone to apply just one thing, you know, starting today, what would it be? What would you recommend?
Yeah. So, how I like to end the podcast is to help people understand that wanting doesn't
Mm.
equate to having. Just because we want something doesn't mean that we're going to take the necessary steps to go after it, let alone achieve it. And it's because we have this part of the brain called resistance that's designed to hold us back, and it's actively working to hold us back. And the challenge with that is because when we want something, the brain can release some really powerful feelings and sensations like, yeah, I can do it. It's going to happen. This time is going to be it. But once those feelings fade, we're right back where we started. And if a person doesn't understand that, every time they get triggered in that overpowering and stimulating want, it's easy to assume that they're going to make progress. And as soon as they hit up against a hurdle, they get derailed. But if they can understand that that desire is actually going to show up with struggles, when the struggles come up, and they're usually going to come up on our like internally, which is why I call it internal resistance. And that they won't be so derailed because they can expect it. So that's the most important thing. And I think if I could narrow the moving forward out of resistance in the easiest way possible, I would say self talk. It's really, really important for a person to get really clear and create a statement of the exact outcome that they're looking for and repeat that outcome all the time, every single day until they get that outcome. For example, I started a morning routine a few years ago, and I created a really great routine that when I do it, I feel really great, and my morning starts off extremely productive. The challenge was actually getting up early enough and doing the routine. And
Yeah.
so I created a statement. I quickly jump into and complete all the items on my morning routine every morning. I quickly jump into and complete all the items in my morning routine every morning. I repeat this statement all the time. I quickly jump into and complete all the items in my morning routine every morning. And so it's helped me act that out. Now, when I wake up in the morning, I'm finding myself waking up earlier and earlier and doing all the items in my morning routine. Where in the past, I would lay in bed for an hour or 2 hours trying to call up the energy to do the thing. Another challenge I resistance I had was drinking enough water. And this is something that I have been told for years, like you got to drink more water. You're not drinking enough
Mm-hmm.
water. And I saw the health effects of it, and I would only get motivated when things got bad. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to drink water. And when things got better, I lost the desire.
You forget about
So,
it.
yeah. So, what did I do? I turned it into a self talk statement. I
Mm.
drink at least 3 liters of water with lemon throughout the day, every day. I drink 3 liters of water with lemon throughout the day, every day. I drink 3 liters of water with lemon throughout the day, every day. Now I'm finding myself drinking the full 3 liters of water without it being a big force or anything because I'm
Mm.
programming my mind to constantly do that.
Mm.
So, though this is just a beginner step, again, we're on a podcast. I'm talking to a wide variety of people, and
Yes,
many of
sir.
them I don't even get a chance to talk to. So I'm
Mm.
just giving something simple. But for if I was working one on one, we could go much deeper into the cause of their resistance. We can use other tools to release their resistance, as well as program their mind to take sustainable action.
Cool. So do you actually work one on one with people?
Yeah, yeah. People can reach out to me at
Okay.
coach@kamknight.com. I didn't get a chance to talk about it because I don't really talk about it in the podcast, but I
Mm.
developed a process where I can take people into their unconscious mind, and it's
Mm.
not hypnosis or NLP, and we can work on their resistance directly. It's much quicker and it's a much more direct way to hit up
Mm.
on someone's resistance. For
Mm.
example, the person who called, I couldn't take her into her unconscious to really see the exact cause of her resistance. She
Mm.
said her fear was of losing her money.
Losing
But then
money.
I talked about other possible fears, and she's like, oh, yeah, it's that too. And there could be other causes that is holding her back. And it's, but her brain is making her think it's about losing money, but it could be some deeper stuff. If I had an opportunity to take her into her mind, we can get the answers, but more importantly, we can release the web of limitations that are holding her back so she can more easily do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So this is your website,
Dot
kamknight.com,
com.
right?
Yep.
So it's KAMKNIGHT
Yep.
dot
.com.
com. So if anyone wants to reach out to Kam, you can get hold of them, of him on his website, and I assume your website have all the details that they can reach you, right?
Yep. Yep. I've got some
All right.
free gifts for them on my website. And then they can also learn about my course. I have a course called Conquer Internal Resistance, and then they could do one on one work with me.
Cool. Kam, thank you so much. I've enjoyed this 1 hour with you. It's been very insightful.
Yeah.
I've learned so much about myself as well. I've learned that I can imprint, in fact, things that I really want to achieve in my mind by, talking to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really helpful, and I'm gonna try it out. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of things, that people want to do, but they have this resistance. But knowing that this could be resistance, you start identifying, then you're able to work through it, or around it,
Yeah.
so that you become successful. So thank you so much for joining us today on NMP Talk Show. I hope this episode has been very helpful to you, and you'll be able to fill in the pieces of the puzzles that you had. If not, you can catch the recording of this show and just listen carefully and analyze what you're going through, and this will probably help you. And you can also reach our guest on his website. It's Kam Knight. I'll have it on the comment section there. Then you'll be able to log in and speak to him as well, or reach out to him. So if you ever felt stuck, inconsistent, or frustrated with yourself, this conversation might have just given you the missing piece. Until next time, keep growing, keep questioning, and keep showing up. This is NMP Talk Show, and I'm your host, Nel Morabidi, and we signing off.